Hello and welcome to the Blue Pencil session. This is where we take a look at your pages and give you our thoughts. So we're taking a look at Prophecy of the Ages, which is book 2 in a series by Lena. And she's having us take a look at that opening section of that. And this is new for her because she is basically splitting up what had been one big, large book and is making it into two. So I'm going to give a call out that one, I think that was a really good decision. She had a really long book, and that this may be something that other people are doing. She has the book opening with Jill awakening. And I wasn't sure if I liked that opening particularly, but I'm going to have to defer over to Crystal because she solved it perfectly. So Crystal, what was your thought with the opening?
So my thought was there's a couple pieces that I really love. I love the juxtaposition of like there's some Johnny Cash lyrics in there. I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. And then she's sort of like, well, I'm not in Reno. I'm not even in Kansas. I'm not in Oz either. You know, we're getting set in where she isn't and then where she is, which I really liked how that was handled. But I think that you have a way more yank you right in perfect first sentence one paragraph later. So yesterday she'd been abducted, stabbed direct to free herself, and escaped to battle the raiders who had attacked the plainsfolk camp. She didn't want to open her eyes just yet. Yesterday she had killed people. And for me, starting with any one of those three sentences would be stronger. Like maybe she didn't want to open her eyes just yet. Yesterday she had killed people. Not just Drek, but others too. She'd been abducted, stabbed, and escaped to battle the raiders who had attacked the plainsfolk camp. She thought it would make her feel different, but it didn't. She still felt like herself, just with aching muscles, blah, 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 blah. So that's just taking the sentences and just reordering them slightly, but it gives a lot more emotional impact. And we're pulled in already from she didn't want to open her eyes. Okay, well, why not? And then immediately it's like yesterday she killed people and we're like, whoa, okay. And then you can weave in the other stuff that you have there. And just one other note about song lyrics, be aware that you do potentially have permissions issues if you're using actual song lyrics. What you can do to kind of cheat your way around that is, you know, the words to her mother's Johnny Cash saying ran through her, Johnny Cash song ran through her mind, but she wasn't in Reno. Hell, she wasn't even in Kansas. You don't have to actually say the lyrics. If people are going to get that reference, they're going to get it from you just inferring it. You don't have to actually put the lyrics. And then you won't have trouble if you do an audiobook. You won't need performance rights to that song because trust me, you don't want to have to buy that if you even can. And it'll also be a little bit of a skirt around for your publisher not to have to worry about licensing and rights. So if you're pitching this to somebody, that will be a concern that they have with song lyrics being used. So that's just a quick little get around for that.
Yay for quick get arounds. I'm going to give a call out that one of the things that I really liked here is that on the whole, I thought you did a really nice job, which is difficult to do, of kind of catching up the reader because this is book 2. So you want to kind of like do some summary, like don't forget people, these are things you need to know. These are some names that are in here, all those kinds of things. As well as things happening. So you have her kind of, you know, doing some things, she's opening her eyes, she's doing some things in the morning, and then these things are interspersed. There is the one part, Crystal, that we talked about maybe moving just because it felt like it got a little bit too much information dumping maybe right there. Scrolling here. Oh, it's about the conference. So Jill thought the bombshell that had been dropped at the conference. Like that might be something that I might drop to the end of the piece because at the very end, she's getting up and she's having breakfast. So I wonder if there might be someone who might just ask her about the conference or reference that they couldn't believe what had happened at the conference and then she could reflect on it. I think it would feel like a more natural place for that information to come. My only other bump, which is a tiny bump, is, and this is, I think, good just for other people, is looking at when you have transitions, how much of things do you have? So she basically is, you know, reaching over. She sees that the person isn't there, Rain isn't there. She decides to get up. She steps into the sunlight and was directed to the latrine tent. So one, I bumped on that because I was like, is someone telling her she has to go to the latrine? Like when I hear directed, that's what I think. And two, like, I'm not sure that we need to know that. Like, I think it's just a detail that we could drop. So I might have her just be like, she steps into the sunlight and was given a breakfast of hot sweet tea and just kind of continue on from there. And we'll assume that she did all her morning absolution kind of things that you do. But I'm going to give out a huge call out that on the whole, I thought this was a really strong opening for a second book and a nice example of kind of blending in what did happen in book one to catch people up, but also making sure that you don't have just a straight info dump happening in those first 2 pages. So good job, Lena. All right. So anyone else, if you're working on a book, maybe it's a sequel or maybe it's not, it might be opening pages or it might be something in the middle, we'd love to see it. So send it to the blue pencil. And until then, we'll see you around the academy. Bye-bye, everyone.